we present Roland Culver with Nan Munro and Jennifer Wright in The Greeting by Osbert Sitwell, adapted by Denis Cannan. The period is the 1920s. The Greeting.
They always ring before I finish my pudding.
That's Nurse Gooch, that is. She pulls it once, nice and gentle. When the Colonel rings, it's an order.
And when his dear wife rings, it's nag, nag, nag and a bloody grumble.
Yeah.
You better put the coffee on.
Have you rung, Nurse?
Yes, Mrs. Teague.
The apple charlotte was burnt. Didn't you think so, Humphrey?
What, my dear?
The apple charlotte was burnt.
I thought it was rather good.
Didn't you think it was burnt, Nurse? The pudding?
Perhaps. Just a little.
You're a better judge of cooking than my husband. Polly, what's the matter with you? Would you like to come out into the sunshine? Carry his cage, Nurse. Humphrey?
Yes, my dear.
My stick, if you please.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I hate to be a bother, as you know, Humphrey. There are certain tiresome attentions an invalid needs.
You rang, sir?
We'll have coffee in the garden, Jeffson.
Very good, sir.
Ask Jeffson to tell the cook the apple charlotte was burnt.
The apple charlotte was a little overdone, Jeffson.
I'll mention it, sir.
There, Polly. You and I can warm our old bones in the sunshine.
Are you comfortable? Another cushion.
I'm never comfortable, Nurse. But one position is sometimes temporarily more tolerable than another. Humphrey?
Yes, my dear.
When will you have that branch of the magnolia pruned? It's the one that taps on my window in the night.
Wrong time of year. Should be done in the spring.
I told you in the spring. I've told you again and again. It's hard enough for me to get any sleep as it is. And there's a door down at the stables that bangs and bangs whenever the wind's in the north. I've told you about that, too, but you do nothing about it. Last night, my nightlight blew out. Couldn't find the matches. I had to ring for Nurse. I hadn't slept at all, had I, Nurse?
Oh, but you did afterwards. I gave you some of Dr. Maynard's new pills, and they sent you off to sleep right away, didn't they?
When will you have the electricity put into the house, Humphrey? Every year you're going to do it next year. I'm sure I should sleep better. And I shouldn't be such a worry to you or to Nurse.
I'll have a word with the contractors next week.
Oh, it's always next week, next month, next year.
Next week? Next year?
Polly? Are you laughing at me, Polly? Pretty Paul. Say pretty Paul.
Next week? Next year?
Nurse,
Yes?
fetch some grapes from the dining room. The black Homburg.
Yes, Mrs. Teague. And I'll get him some fresh water.
I think she's a success, don't you?
Nurse Gooch?
Who else would I be talking about? We don't see so many people, do we? Oh, you do, of course. All your fishing friends, shooting friends, committee friends. How do you put up with them? They're so narrow, so... But I don't think I've seen a living soul for 3 months. Except Dr. Maynard.
He's coming this afternoon, isn't he?
Those new pills are no better than the old ones. He just gives me something quite useless, coated in sugar. Pays no attention to anything I say. He just thinks I'm a silly, nervous woman who complains all the time. And that's what you think, too, I suppose. Well, speak the truth, isn't it, Humphrey? Isn't it, Humphrey?
Isn't it, Humphrey?
Oh, be quiet, you.
Now you frightened him. Poor Polly. It's all right, Polly. Master doesn't like Polly. No, Master only likes birdies when he can go out and shoot them. Master doesn't like Polly's little ways. Master's only waiting for Polly to die. Master's only waiting for Mrs. to die. Master's only waiting for Mrs. to die, too. And how are your memoirs, Humphrey?
Oh, pegging along.
You thought of a title yet?
I was considering With Sword, Rod and Gun in Nepal.
Can't see that setting the circulating libraries on fire.
I don't suppose the book will be any good anyway. It's just an occupation.
And how is Nurse Gooch's shorthand?
Very good. She's quite helpful in a number of ways, with punctuation and so on. Quite a well-educated girl. Actually, her shorthand's a bit too fast for my thoughts.
Perhaps the book will get finished then. It's about time. Been writing it for 15 years.
As I said, it's just an occupation.
2 o'clock.
Yes.
What will you do when I die, Humphrey? Will you still live here? Will you just go on being a Justice of the Peace, President of the Agricultural Society, shooting birds, hooking fish? Somehow I can't imagine you doing anything else. So wrapped up in yourself, you scarcely notice if I wasn't here. Just go all to town a little more often, sit in your club, talk about the old days in India. Don't think you've enough heart ever to feel lonely. Or would you be lonely, Humphrey? Humphrey?
The black grapes are finished. Perhaps he'd like these for a change.
Peel one for him, will you?
Yes.
You didn't bring my shawl by any chance?
No, shall I fetch it?
No, it doesn't matter.
Oh, but if you're cold...
No, it's just that there always seems to be a breeze just here. I always said it was a mistake to cut down those laurels.
Oh, let me fetch your shawl.
They hid the greenhouse so much better.
If you don't like seeing the greenhouse face the shrubbery, if you're cold, let Nurse fetch your shawl.
Oh, greedy Polly. Yes, nice Nurse is feeding him a big, juicy grape. Give it to me, Nurse. Say please. Polly, say please.
Please, please,
No, say please nicely now. Please.
please.
There's a good boy. When will the summer house be ready for me, Humphrey?
I've told you, my dear.
Oh, I know you've told me. But have you told Baxter to sweep it out and mend the window?
No, because...
What harm can there be in my using the summer house? Doesn't hurt you, does it? It's sheltered there, out of the wind.
Nurse, do you think it's wise for my wife to go and sit in the summer house 1/4 of a mile from the house?
It's not 1/4 of a mile.
If she needs something and calls, no one could hear her. Suppose you want your medicine.
If I feel the pain coming on, I can take it there just as well as here.
You've seen the place, Nurse. It's buried in the woods and far too near the main road.
I'm not going to be run over sitting in a summer house.
There's a great deal of unemployment, my dear. All kinds of undesirable characters are wandering about the country. Miners and people. We had a fellow up before us on the bench the other day. Went into a village shop, beat an old woman about the head, and ran off with all the cash in the till.
Humphrey, I do not intend to set up a shop in the summer house.
Twice now I've come across fellows poaching those woods. They weren't local people. It's not safe and it's not sensible in your state of health.
Of course, you'd do anything to stop me getting any rest. I thought we could move the chaise longue from the garden room, and I might be able to doze a little in the afternoons, away from the noise of the house. There's always something to wake me up here. Bells, Baxter cutting the grass. I believe you'd like me to do without any sleep at all, as long as it didn't worry you. It would finish me off quicker, wouldn't it, Humphrey? Wouldn't it? I know you were only waiting for me to die. Me and Polly.
Dr. Maynard.
Ah, Dr. Maynard.
What a splendid afternoon. Bit too bright for the fishing, though, Colonel.
Dr. Maynard, you shall decide. You know the summer house in the woods?
Yes, indeed. I think the Colonel and I have somewhat reduced the pigeon population round there from time to time.
I want to sit there in the afternoons. It's the only place where I can get any peace. And they all say I shall be robbed by a tramp and die if I haven't got my medicine.
Well, now, we could have your medicine made up in pills, so you wouldn't need to take it in water.
But the main road...
Humphrey, I'm not afraid of tramps or motor cars or anything on a road.
If it will give your wife pleasure...
I still feel it's unwise.
You know, old Lord Baltonsborough was breaking his heart because his London doctor wouldn't let him hunt. He had a high blood pressure. He came to me and I said, hunt. 1 day a week when the meat's not too far off. Well, his blood pressure's the same, and his heart's mended. We have to consider, to use a fashionable phrase, the psychological effect on the patient. Nurse Gooch knows all about that, eh, Nurse?
I'm sure we shall all act on your advice, Doctor.
Well, shall we go indoors, Mrs. Teague, and hear what your heart has to tell us today?
Oh, yes, my heart.
Sounds like a song, doesn't it? Unfortunately, the heart's murmurs have a different significance to the lyricist and the physician.
You wanted coffee out here, sir?
Thank you, Jeffson.
I brought an extra cup, sir, for the doctor.
Mm-hmm. A good servant, Jeffson. Got imagination. Make a good batman.
Shall I?
What?
Shall I pour out the coffee?
Oh, yes. Please do.
You like it with plenty of room left in the cup for the sugar?
I've never grown out of it since the tuck shop at school. Always taking too much sugar. Thank you. I hope you're not bored here, nurse.
Oh, no. No, I love the country.
All the same, it's a long way to the town on your days off.
I like walking. And I've got such a nice room here, I'm quite happy just sitting and looking out of the window. Or reading.
What do you read?
Oh, nothing very heavy. Just novels and books of travel. I like travel books.
I've never been much of a reader. Regret it now. If I'd read more, I might have more to talk about. Oh, damn bird. Did you ever come across the story of Humboldt and the Parrot?
No.
He was a great traveler. He was somewhere in South America. Came on a parrot in the jungle. And parrots, you know, they live to be over 100 sometimes. Well, this parrot started chattering away in a language Humboldt had never heard. And it turned out that the parrot was talking a language that was totally extinct.
Good gracious.
It had learned it when it was young, you see.
Well, how very interesting.
I've always found that a very extraordinary thought.
Yes. Yes, it is.
I'm afraid your work here is sometimes rather trying.
Oh, no. In nursing, one doesn't expect to... I mean, people who are ill have a right to extra consideration.
Yes. I don't know how we managed before you came. You made a great difference to our life here. I want you to know that.
Thank you. Being here has made a great difference to my life, too. I was in a nursing home in London, rather a grim place hemmed in by buildings, and everything had to be done by the clock, just so. Matron was a terror if it wasn't. And here, I'm so much more free, and all around everything's so beautiful.
I was born here. Most places, after you've been there for years, you stop seeing them.
Yes. I was private nursing at Ramsgate once. I never thought I'd stop noticing the sea, but I did.
Perhaps it's because I have to watch the things on the estate that I see everything each year as though I'd never seen it before. Blackthorn coming out, the beaches turning. Each time you've forgotten how beautiful. I sound like one of those fellas who write a lot of slush about nature in the papers.
You're so lucky to have such a place. So lucky.
Well, she's doing splendidly. Splendidly. We'll keep her on with the digitalis, nurse.
Yes, sir.
And try yet another sedative.
Would it be any use,
Yes, Colonel?
I mean, would it help you at all to have a second opinion?
Oh, I'd welcome it, Colonel. Welcome it any time.
Thought I might have a word with an M.O. friend of mine at the club. He might be able to put us on to the latest expert.
Oh, I look forward to warming my best claret for Harley Street.
Would you like some coffee?
Thank you, no. A happy event is expected any moment at the vicarage.
Ah, yes.
Mrs. Weston's 7th. And, as nurse knows, the larger the family, the more rapid the arrival. Well, goodbye, Colonel. Keep her in good spirits, nurse.
Yes, sir.
And, Colonel, I'd give way to her about that summer house. I told her I'd try to win you over. Psychological effect, you know. If it makes her happy, that's the main thing.
Dr. Maynard is always so cheerful, isn't he? Always ready for a joke and a laugh.
Sometimes I think he hopes to cure my wife by facetiousness. I wish he hadn't given way to her about the summer house.
Oh, I'll be able to walk over and see she's all right every hour or so.
But it makes more work for you.
Oh, no, I like walking through the woods. Though now you've talked about poachers and tramps, I shall always be looking over my shoulder.
Did you say you were once at Ramsgate?
Yes.
I was stationed near there with my regiment. At Hythe, we used to...
Humphrey, come here a minute.
Humphrey, come here a minute.
Yes, Mary, I'm coming. And the great art, of course, was to hold the lance properly. Wrist had to be relaxed, flexible. If it wasn't, when you stuck the pig, you were thrown off balance.
Oh, how exciting it must have been, with the jungle all around you.
Oh, it wasn't jungle, not there. Perhaps I haven't made that clear enough in this chapter. The kind of landscape. The trouble is, I'm not much good at describing atmosphere and so on. Action, yes.
Well, you do say something about the parched plains. That was on page 97.
Parched plains. Perhaps I should say bare. Bare and parched plains. It doesn't sound right. Limitless, parched, bare plains.
Why not the limitless plains, parched and bare?
Yes, that's good. That's excellent. Just what I meant. Just what they were. Put that on page, whatever it was. What worries me is I'm not conveying the fun. What fun it all was.
Oh, you had that bit about the rags in the subaltern's mess. I found that so amusing.
Not just fun. It was the shape of the days. Things that had to be done because they always were done. Morning stables, exercise, CO's parades, squadron manoeuvres, drink at sundown, your mess kit laid out on the bed in the evening. If one had ever said to oneself, why? It was all ridiculous, I suppose. But one didn't. One just didn't. It was only afterwards, coming home on the boat, that I first said, why? I've been saying it ever since. Suppose that's why I'm writing this book. To find out. All right for you, nursing the sick. That gives a point to your life. But what use am I?
Suppose you make someone else happy. Give them a reason for living. Well, that's point enough, isn't it?
Oh, yes, but I don't even do that. You're right. To give someone else what one never had oneself. Now, if we'd had children. Let's skip this chapter and start on the rising of Pindahar. Ready? Pencil sharp?
Mm-hmm.
For some years, the British authorities had been aware that the situation in western provinces was deteriorating. Soon after the exciting polo match I have described in the last chapter...
Oh, it was chapter 4.
Chapter 4, then. I was sent for by General Walkinshaw...
S-H-A-W?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And asked to organize a mission of investigation. I chose for my team, as the reader might expect, my old cronies, Boyd Undrennan and Stuffy Wilmot Wise. And mounted on Viceroy, who had now recovered from his swollen fetlock, we rode out of the cantonment as the first notes of Reveille echoed from the bare, parched hills. Bare hills. No. What was it you said?
Limitless, parched and bare. But that was about the plains.
Who does very well for the hills, too. Use it for both. Turning in his saddle, Stuffy, who was riding Gingerbread, a promising chestnut by Albany out of Queen Bess.
Here you are at last. I've rung 3 times.
I came as quickly as I could.
There's a blue bottle on the window pane.
Oh.
I can't bear them. Horrible things. And wind the gramophone, please. One of my pillows is slipping, and the bed's untucked at the bottom. No, kill the horrible fly first. It's all because my husband insists on keeping that horse. He never rides it. He doesn't hunt. Can't think why he goes to the expense. It's the manure in the stable yard that draws the flies. We never had so many before he insisted on having this horse.
There. Oh, that's dead. Oh, look, you've upset your patience. Did it come out this time?
I can't remember. I dozed for a little.
Oh, that was nice.
If I sleep in the day, I can't sleep at night. You know that. stop the gramophone, please.
I sent to the chemist today and got you Dr. Maynard's new pills.
They'll be no better than the old ones, you'll see.
Now, it's 5 minutes early, but let's take them now. Then they'll have plenty of time to work.
Has my husband come up yet?
Just now, yes.
There, listen. There it is.
What?
That branch of the magnolia. Tapping on the window. Do you hear it? 50 times now I've asked him.
Your pills.
They taste. I knew they would. Tap, tap, tap all night long. How can I sleep?
You'll see. In next to no time now, the pills will get to work and you won't know a thing until it's morning. Shall I read to you a little?
Oh, if you wish.
Now, where'd we got to?
I read on a little, to chapter 11.
Oh. The Crosses, mother and daughters, lived at Walham Green. The house was less pleasant than another which Mrs. Cross owned at Putney, but it also represented a lower rental.
Oh, dear, this thing's stiff.
And poverty obliged them to take this into account. When the second house stood tenantless, as had now been the case for over a year...
The band played this when I was presented at court. I remember making my curtsy. Now, just now, when it comes to that bit.
Oh, it must have been a wonderful experience.
Life was different then. You wouldn't understand. You see that photograph?
The one in the silver frame?
That was the Countess of Hereford. We came out together.
Oh, she looks so distinguished.
Life then. It seems to have been all dances and picnics and excursions. So much fun. And then I came here.
Was that her baby?
That was my sister's child. She married the Honourable Gerald Venning, you know, the member for Guildford. They had 5 children. No, 6. Little George died of scarlet fever. Such a gay life they had at Staunton. Tennis parties, boating parties, always lots of young people in the house. I suppose if I'd had children... Oh, take it off. What's the use of playing old tunes? But then they're always a disappointment, children. They make bad marriages or hang on in a regiment for years and years and never get a command. The colonel was only an honorary colonel, you know. He never commanded the regiment. Oh, no. He was always too fond of telling other people how they ought to command it.
When the second house stood tenantless, as had now been the case for over
Humphrey,
a year...
are you up here? Humphrey, come here a minute.
Humphrey, come here a minute.
Be quiet, Polly. You're supposed to be asleep. Humphrey!
Yes, Mary. I'm coming.
Did you call, my dear? I was just coming to say good night to you.
Have you made sure the doors are all locked?
Jeffson will have seen to it.
Sometimes he forgets. Once the conservatory door's open all night, anyone could have got in.
You keep yourself awake worrying about burglars. When I'm next door, nurse is down the passage. And then you want to spend the afternoons all by yourself in the summer house.
It's night, I'm afraid, Humphrey. I think of all sorts of things. People dying all alone. Fire.
Mary.
Suppose a coal fell on the carpet. You'd all be asleep. I might call and call and no one would hear me.
My dear, I'll go down now. I'll make sure all the fires are out and all the doors are locked.
And the windows.
And the windows. There's nothing to be afraid of, Mary. You've me and nurse. We're here to look after you, make sure you've nothing to worry about, help get you well. Good night.
No.
Good night, Mary.
Shall I read a little more? Look, I'll go back a little so we can pick up the threads. The Crosses, mother and daughters, lived at Walham Green. The house was less pleasant than another which Mrs. Cross owned at Putney.
That's Nurse Gooch. The mistress is ready for you now.
Oh, this is a fine lark, this new fancy. Being wheeled to the summer house in the middle of a wood every fine afternoon. It's half a mile there and back, and the old bitch grumbles the whole way.
Out of them woods, she ain't got no bells to pull. So I'm not grumbling.
One rug, one bowl of grapes, one packet of birdseed, the Times...
Here, don't forget her spectacle case, or you'll be trudging through them woods all the afternoon.
No, I knew there was something. Oh, and I've got to fill that blessed bird's water bowl. He comes along too. Oh, it weighs something, that cage. What does she think I am, a pack horse? And you wake up, there's lamps to clean before tonight.
I'm having 40 winks, my lad, till you get back to give me a hand.
I'll give you a hand, my girl, somewhere you're not expecting it.
You cheeky devil.
Nurse. My wife's settled in her hermit cell.
Yes, she has all the newspapers. Well, there's no news in them today, so I expect they'll send her to sleep. Oh, isn't it hot this afternoon?
Expect we'll have thunder before night.
Oh, I hope not. It always upsets Mrs. Teague. She worries about the chimneys being struck. But dull weather's better for fishing, isn't it?
Water's a bit low with this drought. Thought I'd walk up to the dam, see if they've opened the sluices.
It's a lovely walk by the river. Yesterday I saw a kingfisher.
I might flog the long pool on my way back. Saw a 4 or 5 pounder rise there the other day. You'll wake my wife at 5 then.
A few minutes before, then she's back in time for tea.
If I'm a few minutes late, tell her where I am.
Yes, of course. I hope you catch something.
Oh, I doubt it. But it's the long waits, cast after cast when nothing happens, the ages sometimes, that makes the day when you take the hook from the mouth of a real big un. Well, I'll be back for tea.
Oh, Colonel,
Yes?
haven't you forgotten this?
Oh, yes.
What a fearful-looking weapon. What's it for?
Oh, that's a gaff. You use it to land the fish.
Oh.
Hook it under the gills and whip him out. Thanks. I'll forget my rod next. See you for tea.
Do you know, I was dreaming the mistress had given me notice and I had to pack all my things in the Colonel's fishing basket. Well, come on, my lad. That's Nurse Gooch. It's time for you to go and fetch your ladyship.
Oh, up and down, never a moment's peace. How much longer is she going to go on with this lark? Oh, it's damp in that wood. She'll catch her death.
And who'd complain if she did?
I know someone who wouldn't. Her lord and master.
Here, and don't you start no games with that Nurse Gooch while you're walking through the wood.
What, with her? There's nothing going on there, I can tell you.
How do you know?
Oh, it's the way she carries her hindquarters. You can always tell.
Oh.
Not like yours.
Oh, you're so fox.
You're not from round here, Jeffson.
No, nurse, no, I'm from London.
You like the country?
Between you and me, I hate the sight of it.
Oh, but look at this wood. It's beautiful.
A lot of damp old trees and dead ferns. I don't know what people see in it. Oh, look.
What?
A weasel just crossed the path. Nasty, dirty little things. I knew we should have thunder before night.
We'd better hurry or Mrs. Teague will get wet going back.
Now, that's summer house. That, I'll give you, that's picturesque. There's one like it in Kew Gardens. But that's not nature. That's made by a carpenter. You know, there isn't a thing I've seen in the country what I've liked that wasn't made by a human being. If you ask me, the work of human beings beats nature any day. And that goes, though I've never seen them, for Niagara Falls, the Cheddar Gorge.
What's happened?
She's fallen out of her chair. She must have fainted.
Ready, Mom? Ready, Mom?
My God. Is she...
Keep away. I'm used to these things.
Ready, Mom? Ready, Mom?
My God.
Run back and send for Dr. Maynard, and you better send for the police, too.
Who could have done that?
Hurry, Jeffson. Now, mind, you're treading... We must touch nothing.
Jefferson said I should raise the blinds, nurse. Now the funeral's over.
Is that right, Doctor? Is that what the Colonel would wish?
Oh, I should think so, yes. Can't go on shutting out the sunlight forever.
Oh, and some flowers came. Too late to send.
Oh, have them sent to... Well, to the churchyard, Millie.
Yes, Nurse Gooch.
The Colonel's the one who wants sedatives now. I'll write a prescription. Just for a day or two to put him through the worst of it.
He stood so long looking down into the grave. I thought he'd never leave. Have the police found anything out?
Well, they had some gypsy in for questioning. Kept him at the police station for a couple of days, but there was nothing against him.
Yes, but what reason could there be when it wasn't for theft?
They found her ring and her brooch 50 feet off in the grass. The way I work it out, some ne'er-do-well thought she was an easy victim, meant just to knock her unconscious, then found he'd overdone it and panicked.
Yes.
When he saw he'd gone too far, he threw away what he'd come for and ran. Panic. That's the only way one can explain the dreadful violence. I've seen a good many bodies in my time, but I've never seen one like that. Here's the prescription. It won't do him any harm to have a double dose for the first day or two. The inquest upset him badly. He had to sit through the medical evidence.
Couldn't you persuade him to go away for a while?
I've tried. Won't hear of it. I was going to suggest to you, nurse, that you might stay on for a week or two.
Well...
Get him over the worst of it. See he takes his meals properly and doesn't... Well, you know what can happen. I don't want him to go to pieces over this.
Well, of course I will, if you think it's wise and he agrees to it, but...
Ah, Colonel.
Hey, if you'd like to ring Maynard, they'll bring you some sherry.
No, don't bother. I must get back to family luncheon. I was suggesting to nurse that she might stay on for a week or two, see you keep to a sensible regimen.
I'm quite capable of looking after myself, Maynard. I'm not ill.
No, of course you're not.
Nurse Gooch would be better employed nursing the sick, I would have thought.
Then we'll call you sick for a week or two. I've ordered you something to settle you for the night, and a tonic that won't do you any harm. Iron. Taste of old nails. See he takes it, nurse, and give him a lump of sugar afterwards if he's good. Bye, Colonel.
Thank you for all you've done, Maynard.
Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Soon be time for the partridges again, eh?
There's a roast chicken for lunch. Do you feel you could manage it? Or there's some calf's foot jelly if you'd like something lighter.
Arrange what you like, nurse.
You mustn't give way.
I should never have let her go there, to the summer house.
Oh, you couldn't have known.
I was against it from the first.
Yes, but Dr. Maynard said that...
You can't shift the blame.
Look, I blame myself, too. I could have taken your side.
I wanted to please her, you see.
Well, everybody understands that.
Everybody? Who? Are they talking about it? What do they say?
I meant, we all understand. That you gave way to please her. There's so much sympathy for you in the village. People are so kind.
They've let the fella go.
Oh, the gypsy.
No evidence against him. He admitted poaching in the woods. He's been in jail 3 times, and they say there's no evidence. I've been on the bench long enough to be able to tell a cock and bull story.
You mustn't let your mind keep going over it.
There are things everywhere that belong to her. I want them all put away, nurse, everything.
Yes, we'll do that for you. And then you must try and take an interest in other things again. The garden, the estate.
I've no interest in anything anymore now. None.
Yes, but your memoirs. We never finished the chapter on the rising of Pindihar.
I was trying to find what it all meant. Now I know. Nothing.
You'll see. Stay quiet for a week or two, and then you'll be meeting your friends again.
I don't want to go out.
Oh, that's just what you must do.
I shall resign from the bench.
I'm sure they won't let you. Everyone says how valuable you are in the neighborhood.
Think I want to meet that damn fool of an inspector who tells me there's no evidence. Will you give that creature away, nurse? Must be someone who'd be glad to have it.
The servants are looking after it. They've grown quite fond of him.
He goes all over the house.
He won't be caged now. He likes to fly about. But they try and keep him in the kitchen.
Luncheon is served, sir.
There's no need to sound the gong anymore, Jefferson.
Very good, sir.
Not with just the 2 of us in the house.
The artful thing. Look at him. He's on the picture rail. We'll have to get the steps.
Come here, you devil.
The Colonel can't stand the sight of him. He'll wring his neck one day.
Oh, I'd wring his neck if I got the chance. It's you that make a pet of him.
Oh, don't.
Come on now, pretty Paul. Come on now, there's a boy. Oh, come on, you.
Shut up.
Oh, we've got to get him. He'll mess the carpets. Where are they?
Out on the terrace. Just look at her. Wrapped up in coats and rugs like a couple of tea cosies. Do you know, I reckon he'd have done away with himself if it hadn't been for her keeping his mind off things.
What happens when she goes?
And who said she was going?
An old codger like him can't have a pretty young nurse in the house without talk starting. They was on about it the other night in the Feathers.
Oh? What did you say?
Oh, I gave them both a good character. Said she sleeps in the east wing and him in the west. And the passage door ain't never been opened.
How'd you know?
'Cause I checks it every morning.
You devil.
Should we go inside? It's not really warm enough to sit out.
The last day till next spring. I always hate it when the deck chairs are put away and the leaves begin to fall and Baxter cuts the grass for the last time. Always disliked chrysanthemums. Such a long time between them and the bulbs coming up.
I saw 2 partridges yesterday, down in the big field. You know, you're well enough now to take up your old interests.
Yes. I've been meaning to say to you for some time that,
Yes?
well, that, I suppose you ought to go now. I mean, to someone who really has need of you.
Yes, I suppose I should.
I feel a bit of a fraud having you looking after me when...
Yes. Yes, you're quite right.
Where will you go?
Oh, back to the nursing home, perhaps, or find another private post. I really don't know. But you, Colonel, you mustn't stay here all through the winter. Why don't you go abroad? Where was it you said you liked so much? Biarritz, wasn't it?
Uh-huh. I had some good times in Biarritz. It's not the same by oneself.
Well, isn't there an English club? Somewhere you might meet some old friends?
That can be depressing at my age. Seeing fellows you knew as young subalterns with pretty girls for wives, all gone to seed. The wives go first, you know. Get dried up, grumble. Can't see myself sitting with them in an English tea room, waiting for letters to arrive from home, no one to write me letters anyway.
Oh, but to travel south. You could go through Paris, couldn't you? And then to be by the sea and hear people talking other languages. I've seen a picture of Biarritz. There's a harbour, isn't there, and yachts from all over the world, and people walking on the promenades in the evening. It must be such fun guessing who they all are and where they come from. And palm trees, aren't there? I've only seen palms in Kew Gardens. And the sea, when I was at Ramsgate, always seemed so cold and grey. Oh, if I were free, like you, and had the means. On and on I'd want to go to Spain and Italy and the snow mountains and... Yes, but there. It's not for me to make plans for you. I have to make my own plans now.
I've always had a tidy mind. Fault, perhaps, makes me seem heartless. But when... Well, nurse, here am I, not wanting to travel because of the loneliness, and you, eager to see the world. And we've got along well enough this last month or two. And I can't help thinking, why shouldn't we join forces?
Oh, but...
What I'm saying, in a roundabout way, is, would you think of... Wouldn't it be a good thing for both of us if we got married?
Oh, I'm all confused, Colonel.
You must call me Humphrey now.
Well, you can tell she's not a lady. Mrs. Teague would never have sent us postcards. What's it of?
Vesuvius. It's a volcano on the Bay of Naples.
Looks pretty, doesn't it?
Oh, lady or not, I'd sooner work for her. Always a please and a thank you. And she'd sooner step down to the kitchen than ring a bell.
Yeah, well, that'll change now she's the mistress, you'll see.
I wonder.
Oh, it's the taxi! Oh, it's them. Come on. Did you clear up them builders' buckets in the passage?
Yes.
Talk about mess. God, they trod that plaster right at the boards.
When they come in, drop a nice curtsy and say...
Say what?
No, I don't know what you can say in the circumstances, but give her a nice greeting. Oh, Colonel looks 10 years younger. And that's not just the change of climate either. Here, put your bow straight.
All right.
How's that bloody bird got out? I locked him in the attic.
Oh, let him be. He don't do no harm.
He gets on the Colonel's nerves. Shoo, get on with you.
He only flies around. He don't talk now, you know. Not since... Hey, come on, look, they're getting out.
Welcome home, sir and madam. Do you think that sounds all right?
Yes, that's lovely.
Oh, it's good to be back.
By Jove, those daffodils look nice.
Oh, and doesn't the house look smart, all painted?
Hello, Jefferson.
Welcome home, sir. And madam.
How well you're looking, Colonel. And Mrs. Teague.
Thank you.
Lovely spring day to come back to. Haven't the builders finished yet?
Just done this morning, sir. Your letters are on the table.
Run up and look at your room, my dear. Our room. See how you like the new wallpaper.
And the curtains have come. Oh, and Millie, how nicely you've done the flowers.
Thank you, ma'am.
You know, there are so many things to see, I don't know where to look first.
Shall I bring up your things?
Yes, please. Come up and show me my room. Our room. Do you like my new hat, Millie?
Oh, it's beautiful, madam.
It's from Paris, Millie.
Oh, mind the paint, madam. It's not all dry yet. And look.
Electric light. Tonight we'll switch on all the lights all over the house everywhere. And Millie, you'll have no more lamps to clean.
Oh, madam.
And here's... Oh, look. A new carpet and curtains and... Oh, look at that wardrobe.
Madam, there was men down from London, vans coming every day. The tradesmen couldn't get in and out the drive.
And the bed, Millie. Oh, it's like something in a palace.
Yes, madam. £5 a yard, that silk was, for the cover.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh, however did he get up here?
Oh, it frightened me. Hello, Polly. Hello. Well, don't you talk anymore?
Humphrey? What is it, Humphrey? No! No! Oh, my God! No! Humphrey! No! 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 Ah!
Ah! Well, pleased with our room, my dear?
In The Greeting by Osbert Sitwell, adapted by Denis Cannan, Colonel Teague was played by Roland Culver, Mrs. Teague by Nan Munro. Nurse Gooch, Jennifer Wright, Dr. Maynard, Derek Prentice, Manservant, Fraser Kerr, Maid, Elizabeth Morgan, and the Parrot, Gladys Spencer. The play, which was recorded, was produced by Archie Campbell.